Hello, and welcome to the Bitcoin.review podcast, where we explore developments and projects with the people who actually make them happen. The show is supported by Pod 2.0, Sat Streaming, and CoinKite. If you're a new listener, I'm NVK. I run CoinKite, where we've been helping people secure their Bitcoins for over a decade. We make the cold card and fun products like the block clock. You can find more information about it on coinkite.com. Hack 2.
Oh my gosh.
I had to start the episode like that. And with that, I have Mr. Rijndael.
Hello.
And Mike Schmidt.
Hey guys.
For the people that don't know Mike too much, because he's been here only a handful of times, he runs the Bitcoin Optech list and podcast.
Yeah, we just got off an hour and a half of that, followed by some audio editing, and here I am.
Yeah, I caught the last little bit of it. And check out the last episode. It was OpCat with Polstra, Hamilton, and Rijndael. It was a banger. We got into a lot of awesome details, and it was pretty cool. I think there's like 2.5 hours there for you to get a sense of what this opcode is, what it does, and risks, benefits, and all that good stuff. I think we even get a little bit into some consensus dynamics, and also maybe how to activate it.
It was really good. Anytime I'm talking to Polstra, I feel way dumber than when I'm not talking to Polstra. It was a great episode.
Yeah, no, it's very few people can stick a little algebra in a conversation without being noticed.
Yeah, when we did that that episode with Jonas Nick, I made an algebra joke and he like audibly sighed and shook his head, and so now I don't try anymore.
Yes. It's good. There's people who put us on our places.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I think people should really listen to that. If they're pro, against, hate, love, whatever feelings they have towards inanimate opcode, they should definitely listen to that. Little housekeeping here. We have a new Hardcase for COLDCARD Q. Now you can store it dry in your bunker. And CoinKite is looking for a sales representative and a social media specialist. Not a social media socialist like we had misspelled, a social media specialist. So, if you have a thick skin and you want to man some of our social accounts, apply. Just go to coinkite.com/careers. And remember, send us questions. We want to have more audience of the two people who listen to the show. Incorporate those questions into what we're talking about, because, we're talking here in a vacuum with the people who make the stuff, the devs. And we want to have these questions as almost like a feedback into what people are talking about. And if we can clarify something or explain it better, I think everybody wins. So please do send questions, either via the YouTube comments or, the reviews, or send a message to producer at coinkite.com. That's another way of sending a question. We're going to have people monitoring better these accounts so that we can take these questions in. So with that, let's start to the vulnerability disclosures. Man, I'm skipping vowels today. Security researcher leverage a flaw in recent UX exchange or cryptocurrency exchange Kraken, crediting their account with 3 million in various assets. Nice. The flaw would allow an attacker to initiate a deposit onto our platform and receive the funds into their account without fully completing the deposit. Oh my God, that's amazing. Free money.
I saw the thread. There was like one thread from Kraken's like CISO or CTO or something. And then there was another thread from the lab that found this. And it sounds like basically zero conf. Like I think that's like literally what happened here, which is wild.
Amazing.
No, that's it?
I mean, I don't know all the details, but like what was discussed in the thread was that there was, a change that basically they would credit your account like before, there were confirmations on the asset, and they used that to basically print assets.
Wow. I wonder how much of that was like, it's an exchange. I mean, like, it's nice to have volume. Whoops.
These weren't researchers engaged by Kraken to do this research, right? They're just doing this on their own.
Yeah, and part of the controversy here, I guess, was, and I didn't see what the resolution was, but there were two threads that kind of went on Twitter on the same day, and one of them was from the company that these researchers worked at, saying, "Hey, we found this vulnerability, we exploited it, and then we like disclosed it, and the exchange is like threatening us if we don't pay back an unspecified amount of assets to like an address that they haven't given us." And then an executive from that exchange came back and said, "Well, you could have demonstrated the vulnerability with like $1 and not like $3 million. And then also there were repeated, exploits of the vulnerability over and over again. And we asked you to send the money back and you didn't." And so it sounded like there was some back and forth there, and that blew up into like a bigger discussion about what is responsible disclosure and what isn't, and sort of like when do you get a pass and when don't you?
Well, and was it true also that the researchers like told people with other Kraken accounts to do the same thing? Like I feel like there was a multiple account thread here where they had disclosed it to other people, or I don't know if it was in the same organization, but there was multiple Kraken accounts farming these zero confs.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 accounts, but I don't know what the ground truth there is.
Wow. I mean, it's funny, right? Like, kind of been on both sides of this coin before, and there is always disagreement between the companies and the security researchers, and that's this natural state of being. It's not like, in my view at least, it's not like any side is being malicious or trying to save face or anything. It's just that like there is disagreement, right? Like, sometimes the company is going to be like, yeah, we don't think this is that serious. Sometimes the researcher may disagree, or sometimes it's the opposite, right? And then there's part of the responsible part too. Like there's disagreement on that too. The only right answer is, if you're really serious security researcher, you need to do a thing called a CVE. There is a proper process. Email is not the best sort of like way of hashing that out. If you follow the CVE sort of like spec, you're safer as a researcher from a company or group or entity sort of calling you out of not being proper way of doing it.
Well, and taking $3 million unsolicited and then not immediately giving it back.
Yeah.
And negotiating. This sounds exactly like what a hack would be.
Yeah.
I mean, then this is what a hack would entail.
Yeah, I thought I saw something also where it's like some of those funds may or may not have then gone through mixers and like other things that it's like they didn't just like put it in a ledger and say, hey, we'll send this back to you. When
it went to a Tornado Cash, right?
Yeah,
I heard it went to Tornado Cash, and that's like some now there's all kinds of big boy violations happening there.
I wonder if maybe the security researchers, between quotes, figured that they did a misstep on the tumbling of the assets, and then they're like, you know what? Oh, let's be security researchers.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That's actually a pretty good theory.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, whoopsie. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're definitely just pen testing.
Yeah, it's easy to spin up a website, right? Get a domain name and a quick website up, and
as long as it's not an XYZ website, which we're going to get to in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Todd who did a double spend on Coinbase because of their zero conf stuff way back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe it's probably still possible. There's a lot of services out there Is it Carvalho is a big proponent of zero conf, right? Like he loves that stuff and the double spans. All right. Next is ransomware group LockBit threatens to leak Federal Reserve data. That was awesome too. and they arguing with the Federal Reserve people, saying they're morons and like they think the Americans' data is not worth more than $50,000.
Is that what their counteroffer was? $50K?
I think so.
Yeah. So is this real? Is this confirmed real? This seemed in the gray territory for me, unbelieving.
I don't know. I mean, like Twitter is reporting on it, so it must be true. I haven't had a chance to go into each part here. All right. Next is a PSA. Multiple Fedimints are experiencing server DNS issues, significantly degrading functionality for Mutiny. I don't know too much about this issue, but apparently they have three major signers for this mint. And then if one is offline, it doesn't work.
Well, so each mint is basically a 3 of 4 multisig.
Okay.
Right. So as long as 3 of the 4 nodes are able to sign for funds, then you can like move money. And the issue is that in both of the public mainnet federations, because apparently there's 2 of them. So in both of the public mainnet federations, one of the signers is basically hard down. And so you're now at like a 3 out of 3. So they're saying, get your money out now, because if we lose one more, then it's not spendable.
Yay. No, I mean, like, honestly, like, I love what Fedi is trying to do, but I am not a fan of federated eCash because it's really, truly complex. It's very, very complex. Maintaining state between the mints is super complex. And you know what? Like, if people are trying to keep, like, few $1,000s per mint, so people in the world with like don't have a lot of money can like have a balance of 50 cents. I don't think having maybe a single signer mint to be the end of the world. Who knows? Maybe we get threshold signature mints and then it's a single sig with threshold mint. I think that's a better path. Multi-sig is not good for anything.
Where does the domain come in to the set of guardians? I can see you can't contact them, but in theory you could contact them not using a domain and get signatures. Or how is that tied together?
So I think the issue is that the DNS name is part of like the canonical identifier for a node in this 4-node federation, and that's like a intrinsic identifier for how the other nodes communicate state with it. So I think the problem is that once I haven't gone and like dug into how the Fedimint code works for this, but I suspect that what's happening is none of the other nodes are able to communicate state changes to it. And like, it's not like one guy sitting at home with a cold card or something. Like the keys are managed by the Fedimint software, which is what you want. Like you don't want the operator to just like be signing stuff. And so I think the issue is that, one of the nodes just like permanently can't come to consensus with the other 3. So it's not going to be signing. Like hopefully there's some break glass mechanism that they can like go and get the key and like sign some bulk withdrawals or something. But, it sounds like, one of the nodes is basically offline. And I don't know if they have some break glass mechanism, but Mutiny is telling people like, go get your money out.
Yeah. I mean, the boys from Mutiny always on top of it. Like I just love that. Like, it's like, if you want your new technology type to have people who are constantly thinking adversarially and checking shit, you really want the Mutiny guys to be participating in that industry. I mean, it's amazing how much shit they find on Lightning and like everything else. Like it's really cool. Props to them.
And what's the story behind XYZ TLD having issues?
So it sounds like the issue was I don't know, like so there's only like one registrar, I think, that issues .xyz domains, or maybe there's a small number of them. and it sounds like it was like a abuse thing. Like somebody reported a domain name for abuse or something, and the registrar pulled the DNS record for the domain that was being used by this node in the federation, and so now the other nodes in the federation can't resolve that domain. And I part of this is there's probably a bunch of lessons to be learned from this. Like one of them is that there needs to be something in like the Fedimint control plane to change the endpoint for a specific node. Like there's not that functionality, I guess, and so there needs to be like you need to be able to say, all right, for node 7, I'm going to change the endpoint from like this domain name to that domain name. And there needs to be some cryptographic identifier that you can use to make sure that you're like still talking to the same node. So that's like part of it. And then and the way that this would get done in like a threshold signing scheme, if we had like Frost or something else, is you'd say if we get a signing quorum of nodes to replace this endpoint, then we treat that as authoritative, because like a signing quorum could just take all the money anyway. So if they're replacing one node with another node, it's fine. And so there needs to be like control plane for that. And then I think the other part of this is that there probably needs to be some break glass mechanism for Fedimint to be able to say like, all right, my node can't come to consensus. I'm just going to get the key out and get on, a Slack channel with like the other node operators, and we're going to like refund people.
There is nothing like refunding over Slack. I mean, it was done with Bitcoin soft forks. Yeah. It was done, actually hard fork. It was done for Ethereum. You got to sometimes get the dudes on the line, like a nice Zoom meeting.
Yep.
Get it done. Yay, consensus. All right. Bitcoin Core Vulnerability Disclosure report by Antoine Poisson. I think you, Mike, covered some of this on the last Optech.
Yeah, I think it was a couple weeks ago we covered this. I think I was actually not on the podcast where we had discussed it, but I think the gist is that there have been some historical vulnerabilities, and for no reason other than just maybe a bit disorganized or somebody maybe not taking ownership of it, those older vulnerabilities haven't been disclosed, which is sort of the impetus for some folks to get together and let's come up with a policy so that this is standardized and it's not just relying on somebody remembering this or that and then disclosing it at an ad hoc date. And so, yeah, Antoine Derosier, he posted sort of a summary of that discussion for public consumption and feedback. So that's sort of where we're at now.
Should we, is it time that maybe, do you know how we have the BIPs? Maybe we have the bricks, so like here are problems. The problem with bugs and issues is that anything that's security concern, you don't want to make it public.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, until you have a fix. So there really is no way around it. I guess it just is. What CVE does is like, you have a record, a public record that there is a problem, and then a certain extent and threshold in which there is a disclosure of the problem without affecting the users that are live. And then there is a plan for like, a certain timeline to get disclosure and to also get the fix out, right? Like, maybe just use CV. It's been working.
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any opposition to CVEs. Is there?
I don't know. It's just nobody uses it. So, like, to me, that's implicit dislike for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are generally happy to use CVEs even for things that are not actually vulnerabilities, like certain relay
bugs.
Policy that might not actually be bugs. But I think the thing that's like harder is, if there's a vulnerability that you don't want to disclose the details of before there's a fix that's been broadly deployed, like how do you coordinate getting the fix into the software and communicating to people like, hey, you really want to update your software without explaining why, I think is just hard to do in a decentralized project with like the stakes that Bitcoin has.
No, we have the Bitcoin core users mailing list.
Yeah.
And, and their phone numbers. And we just email everybody. If they don't get the email, we call them and we say, sir, please update your node. And we take it from there. But, thankfully, I have not seen. So we have some old nodes running, right? I don't want to dox their age or their specific vintage. And some of them do have money in them and they're serving things. And funny enough, we have not encountered anything that, and we see the attacks coming in, but we have not seen anything that could be an issue. Like people haven't even been able to crash it. So
is that you just running those as a hobbyist or?
No, there's some that are business related.
Okay.
And it's just the balance is always like, do you update a system that's been running for God knows how many years versus, and then it introduces new problems, right? It's running. If it ain't broken, don't fix it, right? And I imagine a lot of miners have the same issue, right? They don't want to update systems, and some of those systems might be even hard to update because they're remote. Anyways, just something to consider. All right. DOS disclosure, LND Onion Bomb.
This was just a fun classic. There's a part of the Onion message that Lightning nodes send includes like the length of how long the message is going to be, and just classic the message can be so long, but the type that you use to indicate the length is like a 64-bit int, and so you could just say oh, it's going to take, however many gigabytes of memory, is how big this message is. And your node would just allocate a buffer that big for the message. And it could allocate more memory than a Raspberry Pi has and crash your node. So that's been fixed. And now it'll only allocate as much memory as messages can actually be.
Yeah, it's unfortunate there wasn't any checking before the allocation. So yeah, like Rijndael said, there's sort of this variable. How much am I about to send? And then the actual payload itself. And you could say, I think it was up to 4 gigabytes.
Yeah.
I'm about to send you 4 gigabytes. And so LND would then say, okay, let me allocate 4 gigabytes in preparation for this. And the funny part is you didn't even need to send anything. There was no, you didn't need to validate that data was actually there. So you could even do this in a very compact way. You didn't actually have to be passing around 4 gigabyte onions around the network.
Yeah, sorry, I said 64. I meant 32. But yeah, it's it would send. It could be up to a U32 max.
Well, the answer is always don't use Raspberry Pis too, which is a very fair answer. But yes, this is a bug, and this kind of stuff happens all the time. It's pretty common, and it will keep on happening. It's normal. Having this kinds of bugs that can be exploited is it's all software.
I think one of the conclusions, this is Matt Morehouse that discovered this and disclosed it, was one of his recommendations was to fuzz test anything that has a user untrusted input. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up finding this bug through fuzz testing. And I think in his post, I think he said once he wrote the fuzz test, it took less than a minute to find this bug. And so it seems like there's some low-hanging fruit.
There's always more testing to be done, man. There's always more testing.
Yeah, and obviously at Brink, we're big on that. We actually had, I'll plug Brink, one of our engineering calls that we had last week, where sometimes we talk internally, sometimes we bring in guests to present things. We actually had Matt Morehouse on presenting on fuzz testing Lightning and sort of the state of it. We actually just pushed that post live today, so you can get 40 minutes of Matt sort of somewhat intellectually, honestly complaining about Lightning node implementations and their maintainers maybe not being friendly towards this sort of fuzz testing.
Well, there is no other way. for COLDCARD, I think the test suite now that runs on real hardware takes about the day. I think it's taking a full day. The machine just keeps on going through it. Like, and it's just that's how it works, man. It's money handling software, right? All right, BitcoinLink, critical vulnerability exploit results in users' wallets being drained. BitcoinLink is an open source non-custodial payment service that allows you to send Bitcoin using a one-time use reward links redeemable via Lightning using Nostr Wallet Connect. The hacker was able to obtain a valid user-generated link and grab its secret, then obtain an encrypted Nostr Wallet Connect from the developer's unprotected endpoint. Once decrypted, the funds could be drained.
Excellent.
Yeah, JavaScript. Something smells like JavaScript.
Well, it seems strange that they're non-custodial, yet a hack of their services caused the users' wallets to be drained.
No. So Nostr Wallet Connect is really cool. It's essentially like an API for you to use a wallet that's not in your system, so you don't have to host the wallet in your system. That's why, like, it's non-custodial on this service, but it's like you are giving this service API access to your wallet somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I think the way that it works is you publish a message over Nostr that says, "Hey, wallet, send this many sats or pay this invoice," right? And like you sign it with your Nostr key. And so the idea is that your wallet is, listening to some Nostr topic, and it sees this message, can authenticate that you signed it, and says, "Okay, I'll pay this," right? So it's you're using Nostr as like a control plane for your wallet. That's then, Nostr, you can like long pull a relay, so it's outbound connection only, so it works like from inside your firewall. And so it sounds like what's happening here is it's basically able to like grab the secret that you use to authenticate these messages to your wallet, and then the attack is that it's sending a valid command to your wallet to say like, "Hey, pay this invoice."
Yep. Very cool tech. Clearly has limitations. If you give it's similar to the BitGo API hack. Like it doesn't matter how much security you have in your private key. If the API that makes the thing sign is unprotected, well, money's gone.
Yeah.
All right. DISGOMOJI, newly discovered Linux malware controlled through emojis sent from Discord.
I love it.
Amazing.
It's the CNC plane that we deserve.
Yes. It's funny. It's not available on FreeBSD. It's not a problem because, FreeBSD doesn't have emojis in most of the systems. It's great.
It reminds me of the guy tapping his head meme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. All right. Physical attack in London, England. 3 armed men forced Ethereum developer to transfer 1,000 plus ETH. Is ETH worth anything still? But aside from that,
1,000 of them is.
Okay. I have absolutely no idea what's the price of ETH. Anyways, like this is brutal, man. Like, fuck. Don't be a wealth influencer. It seems that like UK has a disproportionate amount of $5 wrench attacks, door knocks. It's like out of LOP's list, it seems UK is overrepresented.
Do they publish home addresses? I think it was something like, was it Sweden, where there was a lot of these sorts of attacks, because actually everyone's address, like physical address, you could look it up, and so there was a disproportionate attacks there.
Oh, interesting.
In Italy, I think it's Italy that your taxes are public, and a lot of Scandinavia too.
Maybe that's what it was. The taxes, yeah.
It's like it's insane. This idea that like people should have like the right to see your shit is insane. I would never be able to exist in that frame of mind. Like it's just I mean, no wonder they had that attempt to pass that law where they could see your text messages, right? Stay safe, folks in Europe. Shit's weird there. Cryptocurrency influence. Oh yeah, this is another one. This one is in Canada. Cryptocurrency influencer and 3 other people kidnapped in Montreal. The event are allegedly related to previous pump and dump. Yeah, so this is different.
You spoke too soon. Canada's just in there.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Like this one is a little different. This guy, I think, did a pump and dump on the mafia or some gangbangers. I mean, that's crossing a few lines there.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right?
Yeah, that's one of those. It really is a true FAFO. Half a Bitcoin lost to fees in bidding war after funds were sent to compromised address. Brutal. Man, how much is a Bitcoin nowadays? 60 grand? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I just pulled up the transaction. It's $31,783 sent to fees.
That's
brutal.
I
mean, good for Antpool. They had a good block.
There is a bright side somewhere, right?
Yeah.
All right. That resumes our vulnerability disclosures part of the show.
It's kind of sad that is a regular segment.
Oh, dude, that segment only grows.
It seems like
up only.
No, up only. But it makes sense. I mean, like as cryptocurrencies in general, especially Bitcoin, like keep on becoming like, more value more, the honeypot is bigger, right? The value attributed to each attack becomes much more palatable to people's risk analysis.
Well, and bugs and vulnerabilities are just like a constant, there's like a constant percentage of like software that just has bugs and vulnerabilities. So as there's more Bitcoin software, there's going to be more Bitcoin vulnerabilities.
Yeah, especially with all this JavaScript being allowed in the world. All right. Software releases and project updates. COLDCARD. This is a pre-announcement announcement. No, it's just a pre-announcement, not a pre-announcement announcement. We couldn't get the release done for the show today, and I'm only recording again in 2-3 weeks from now.
Yeah, just don't publish the podcast until this ships.
There and then you go. So it should ship out Thursday, probably max Friday, but I think Thursday. Who knows? Even maybe tomorrow under the day it might come out. So I figured I put in. I only know of half of these because I didn't even have time to review ours. But shared improvements, both Mark IV and Q. New feature, Push TX. Once enabled with a service provider URL, you can now tap COLDCARD to your phone and will open a web page and transmit your freshly signed transaction onto the blockchain. No apps required. It's really cool. We created a domain for this called pushtx.org. The spec is going to be open source.
Is it like stuffing the serialized transaction into like the URL or something? So when you just do like a get, it like pushes it?
Yes.
That's fun.
So like, because what we wanted to do is like, one of the biggest banes in the ass is, you're okay with bringing the transaction wire, air gap to the COLDCARD, right? Like via microSD or NFC or QR or whatever.
Yeah.
The problem is the laptops all have potato cameras, right? So so Sparrow struggles to scan QR codes on hardware wallet screens to get the transaction back in. So we figured, hey, why don't we just base 58 the fuck out of it, right? Do a GET and you pick your provider, right? So you pick your node. I think he uses the Electrum spec. So the boys from Mempool.space are already integrated for us.
Cool.
COLDCARD.com has one. This is so easy. Like, there is a JavaScript open source library. There is a Python implementation, I think. Anyways, I see this is going to take off. It's going to be really cool. Because then, you sign your transaction, you just tap your phone and boom, go into a mempool out there.
We covered in the newsletter this PushTX tool from Alfred Hodler. Is he affiliated with COLDCARD?
Oh, no, unrelated. Name conflict.
Okay, so 2 PushTX is coming out in the same 6-week span.
Yes. It was too late for us to rename it. Like, it's like literally just collision. Just name collision. It happened. I have no idea what the other... I actually covered his project after on my pod, and that's how I found out. It wasn't on my list. But it was already too late.
Okay. But it's the same idea. You give it a transaction, it connects to the Bitcoin network and relays.
Okay.
And then shuts down.
So yeah, so what this does though is like the hardware wallet itself creates the serialized transaction that is ready for the node, right? And what we do is we have a glue that makes that transaction go from the hardware wallet to the node using the browser and a GET API. And what's cool is that you can select, say, a local node in your own local network, for example, or you can select, if you're using ours, we're pushing from different nodes at the same time, so there's less chance of timing attacks. I'm sure like people are gonna do really cool shit to this. It's gonna take this to the next level, but it's the beginning. We're trying to make it easier for people. Is this for your ultra cold bunker cold card? Probably not. Leave that one with NFC disabled. This is for your cold card that you might have on your desk, right? The one that maybe you publish transactions and you don't care. It's like operational kind of funds.
I mean, I think it's just a lot of fun because, a thing that you can do is you can go on Amazon or whatever and buy a bag of 200 NFC tags for like $10, and you can flash them with a URL, and then when you tap it with a phone, it gives you a link, and you tap it and it opens the link. So now you can like tap it and open a link and it broadcasts a Bitcoin transaction. And if you load up pre-signed transactions that like do interesting things, then now you can have these touch targets at your house or a park or whatever, and when you touch it, it broadcasts like interesting Bitcoin transactions. I don't know. There's a fun game there.
No, not just can you imagine this for like distress situations, right?
Oh yeah.
You can carry in your wallet a signed transaction.
Yeah, that moves all your money.
That takes all your wealth.
Yeah.
Into different vaults that are not the original vault, right? And if you ever tap that card, boom, gone.
Yeah, I used to have this. I wrote a Twitter thread a while ago. I had this like tripwire system that I rigged up with like a 10-line shell script. It's like fun to see what you can do with Bitcoin Core and a 10-line shell script, where it's like, on each of my cold cards that made a multi-sig, you also put a single sig wallet with $200, and then you have your node watch to see if any of those UTXOs move, and if they do, then it like moves all of your multi-sig because it means that somebody like got to one of your signing devices and it's like been compromised. It's like a tripwire. So you could do a similar thing where, you've got a card in your wallet and you tap any phone to it, click the link, and it like moves your money. Like there's some fun stuff you could do with this.
Yeah. And how everybody's always preoccupied with the ephemeral grandmother trying to use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm still very suspicious that she even exists, but let's say she does, right? Grandmothers Don't Exist should be the next movie by, what's his name?
Alex
Swald.
Yeah.
There you go. Grandmothers Don't Exist. That'd be hilarious. Anyways, I was just thinking, like, how can we make this, like, stupid? Like, really, really stupid for people to use so they don't have to plug their, there is people who will still make USB hardware wallets. I know it's amazing, but so that you don't do that, right? You can still have very similar UX that is that easy, that simple. And, the phone is substantially safer as well.
So like on a cold card, maybe not with the Mark IV, but definitely with the Q. So you now have a QR reader on the device. You can have the device send a transaction out via this mechanism over NFC. You still need something off the device to do the original like transaction construction.
Yes.
Are you guys planning on putting transaction construction logic like in the device? Because the things that you would need the prev outs. So you got to get that like from the blockchain somehow, and then you got to shuffle that to the device. But if you could get the prev outs on the device, if you can get the prev outs on the device and you get the destination on the device, then you should be able to do transaction construction on the device.
So we debate about this, I think, like every 2-3 weeks internally. Like we always wanted to make a transaction coordinator, transaction creator device. It's not easy. And unfortunately, I don't think there's enough market for it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how many people are going to really care enough for us to do this? We do like, every 2 weeks, like review this idea again. It's like, see if there is new hardware on the market that could do it this economically. It has enough juice for it. If there is any advances in sort of like how to maybe like transport the parts that we need in and out.
Yeah.
One idea we had way back was we wanted to make an air gap Bitcoin node.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds retarded, but this air gap Bitcoin node would have a protocol to take deltas from a online node, right? And we would just bring over these deltas, right? And this is like sort of like a bunker box, right?
Yeah.
And this device then generates the transactions that then go to a hardware wallet, right? Like it's like super ultra like bunker mentality, bunker coin, as Rodmore would put it, for people doing interesting stuff, because there is a lot of people doing interesting stuff that need setups like that, but not enough to be a product. So
actually make a market out of it. Yeah.
Exactly. It is a lot of fucking work to maintain projects like this, right? So yes, there is thought being into it. And if we can come up with something, we will. All right. The next thing is a new feature, Transaction Output Explorer. Allows view all output details of a large transaction, 10 plus outputs transactions before signing. New feature, new setting to enable always showing XFP first item in the home menu on Mark IV. That was my request, because the Q has it on the status bar, right? Your XFP. So you know, especially now that you can maintain multiple seeds and combine seeds plus passphrases on the device, and you can load them and whatever. It's nice to always be able to see what you're working on. And it's also like a way of also identifying a COLDCARD you logged in and know like which one. Is this a dev box that you can throw out? Oops. Anyways, add signed PSBT shortcut to NFC tools menu. Stricter P2SH, P2WPKH validation checks. Mention the need to remove old duress wallet before locking down temporary seed, because that removes the other stuff. Add TIA option to export wallet. Signing UX shows sum of outgoing value on top. Always show number of inputs on outputs. Bug fix, display max 20 change output in main signing story. The use transaction output explorer. Bug fix PSBT v2, PSBT global TX modifiable parsing. Bug fix decrypting top signer backup failed even for correct key. Bug fix clear any pending keystrokes before PSBT removal screen. UX shows 10 outputs, biggest value on the screen. I'm just skipping a little bit now. Calculate progress bar in the address explorer. If you ever dealt with that, you know. Search. Also wrapped SegWit. Single SIG address if P2SH address provided. Not just multi-sig, but multi-sig has precedence for P2SH address. Mark IV specific, just display change address in Address Explorer fails if NFC vDisk not enabled. Classic collision of features there. Q specific changes. COLDCARD multi-sig export, import format detected in scan any QR code. Bug fix export BIP85 derived entropy via NFC was offered even when NFC was disabled. It was not doing it, but it was offered. It was just UX. Leading to yikes error. Because the device knows it shouldn't be doing something. Bug fix support newer version QR scanner modules. We had an update on the part. All right. So that was it for COLDCARD. Hopefully it comes out tomorrow or the day after. There's a couple more that I can't mention because I don't know if they're going to be in or not. So I'll just leave that up. All right. Barbecue, QR, FFI, iOS, macOS, and Android bindings for Barbecue QR library using Uni FFI. So,
Yay.
Jesus, how many libraries is there now for Barbecue QR?
What's the uptake been on that?
I mean, like I could say that is the most used QR library for Bitcoin only hardware signers. So Nunchuk supports it, Zeus supports it, Spiral supports it, BTC Pay Service supports it, Crux supports it. It slowly will take. It took 2 years for PSBT. It might take a year or two for this.
Is there a reason not to use it? Like, are there any downside?
Ego?
Yeah. Not invented here?
No, really. Like, it's like, it takes, like, It's barely any dependencies, right? Like it's just 50% better PSPT compression. This is not instead of SeedQR, by the way. Like some people got confused. I noticed that. Barbecue QR is for, arbitrary data you want to do something, but hard typed really is just PSPTs.
Mm-hmm.
So for PSPT is a no-brainer. I mean, like you have double the chance of not needing an animated QR by using it, right? So that already alone is kind of a huge deal, right? Because animated QRs suck.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is better. It's silly for people not to do it, and there is libraries now for almost every possible platform and language that you could possibly want. So use it. Nunchuk, key replacement for multi-sig wallets. Ooh.
Yeah, this is cool. I looked into this a little bit. It looks like they're doing it with like an on-chain sweep to the new wallet. So you have a 2 of 3, you lose one of your keys, you basically make a new 2 of 3, and then they will automatically sweep your funds to the new wallet. And then that's how they're doing it. I'm really looking forward, Frost stuff is getting more and more baked every single day.
Yes, please.
Someday, we're all going to have a Frost wallet where you get threshold signing and you can do a thing called proactive secret sharing, where when you lose a key and you want to rotate in a new one, you can do that without an on-chain transaction. This is important because, when fees are high and you have lots of UTXOs in your wallet, it gets really expensive. It's also better if you're employing any kind of coin control for whatever. It'd be nice to not have to flatten all of your UTXOs down because of key management. Ideally, you have, UTXO management and key management being orthogonal concerns, but with multi-sig, sometimes you have these points where you kind of have to smash everything together. So, love that Nunchuk is now doing automated key replacement, but it'll be even better when we have something like Frost.
Yeah, the Frost stuff is like magic. The fact that you could do something like that,
it really is. Yeah.
And will you connect the dots for me, Rijndael, if you've dug deeper into this? If you can chain, so let's say we have a 3 of 5 Frost threshold signature scheme set up, and we can boot somebody out and then put somebody else in their place, right? So we can just have a new 3 of 5, right?
Yep.
Can we just then transfer the 3 of 5 to a completely separate 3 of 5?
So the thing that's tricky is the old shares are still valid, technically. So you need to trust that either they were actually deleted or lost or something.
Yeah.
Because the way that this works under the hood is there's a shared secret, right? There's a shared private key that can sign away the funds. And the way that the thing that's magical about Frost is that you have your 5 signers all come up with this one shared key without any of them ever actually touching it. That's the threshold part of it. And what happens is when let's say that we have a 2 of 3 here and we want to kick out Johnny and add NVK, right? What we would do is we would basically rederive that same shared secret with the new set of people, but the old set of people can still derive that shared secret. And so if you move to if you're kind of replacing individual signers and the quorum that you need to sign your money away is still stable, then you're probably okay. But if you're moving to a new set of 3, then you might actually need to move funds.
Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
I highly recommend people listening to the Frost Roast episode that we did.
Yeah.
Remember, that was when they were starting to put the information out about Rost and Frost. So I think a few things have been improved, but it's still conceptually first principles is all there. We talk a lot about the nonce exchanges and how do you do that right, and it was pretty good.
Another good resource is at Bitcoin in Austin this year. Jesse Posner did a really long talk and workshop about Frost. He gets into the math. He gets into how proactive secret sharing works. It gets really in the weeds really quickly, but he kind of builds up to it in a really natural way. Jesse is a real authority on this. So check out his talk from Bitcoin if you want to really get into the weeds.
There's very few authorities on this.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Jesse and then Nick Farrow, who's
Yes.
UTXO on Twitter, or UTXO Club on Twitter. He's working on a Frost hardware wallet. They've got kind
Yes.
of like a prototype of it done.
U3X. No, what's the name of their little?
SecP 256K Fun is the underlying library.
Right.
Yeah. So that's Lloyd's library, which is like the best library for doing fun things with SecP.
Oh, here. So that episode was Jesse,
Yep,
me, you, and Vivek. It was it was a year ago.
long time ago. Yeah, check those out.
Episode 38.
It looks like you have another one because I'm looking to go find it. You have one with Jonas Nick, Tim Ruffing, Lloyd, and Jesse as well.
Oh yeah, so that one is great. That one we dive into libsec and what it takes to maintain the library, and you know that one was fun too.
We should move on from this, but one other thing that's really cool
We shouldn't move on from anything
about proactive secret sharing with Frost is we were just talking about this like really cool thing for key replacement where you want to, you've got a 3 of 5 and you lose one of your keys, so you want to replace it without like moving all the money. The other thing that's really cool is you can also use that technique to change the quorum size. So if you have like a 2 of 3 and then Bitcoin does what it does and goes up 10x in value, and you say like, oh God, like this 2 of 3 doesn't feel good anymore, you can move to like a 3 of 5 without perturbing your coins on chain, which is
very cool.
Wild.
We're scaling Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Scaling.
Off-chain scaling.
Yes. No, I mean, like, like without these things, we're kind of fucked. As people's wealth start to increase, people are starting to realize the limits of the current solutions, especially when it comes to inheritance or shared custody of assets. It's a problem. Sharing your keys with somebody, even if they only have one key, it's still a privacy problem, right?
Yeah, and like if you want to play with this stuff to get a little bit of a sense for it without having money involved, Nostr also uses Schnorr signatures. So Nick Farrow did a tool called Froster, and it's Frost signing for Nostr messages. So like Nick and I made a 2 of 3 threshold key for a Nostr account, right? And so I called it the shitpost DAO. Like, 2 out of the 3 people have to agree on what the shitpost will be in order for it to be, a valid signature over the post.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be good for corporate settings, but yes,
sure.
Shitpost DAO is a better way to phrase it, I guess.
Why not? I mean, all right. So more on Nunchuk. So they have their guided wallet creation, step-by-step guidance, ensure blah, blah, blah. Semi-automated fund transfers. That's cool. And then there is a few updates that are not on this list, but they got released. So one is they fixed impossible to sweep an unsealed sets card slot. That's been fixed. They also released a feature that I've been asking for, which is a PDF exports of Bitcoin transactions, like the information page, because bookkeepers need that information, and we need to be nice to bookkeepers. They have a lot on their plates in general. The key replacement stuff. What else? And I think that's it. They are looking for more features. Hugo is very approachable, and they know how to code. So do reach out to them if you think of anything.
I also saw somebody, I think it might have been Merch the other day, was asking if there were good mobile wallets that had Signet support. And Nunchuk has had really solid Signet support since like day one. More people are trying to do more interesting things with Signet. So if you want to try stuff out with like fake money, especially for like interesting multi-sig setups, trying it on Signet first is a great move. So if you want to play with Signet on mobile, Nunchuk is a really, really good choice.
And you can use, I think AJ put out a faucet for Signet. Yeah. Maybe you guys already covered that, but yeah, you got to do some proof of work, I guess, to actually get some Signet sats.
We might have on the last list.
Using OpCat.
Using OpCat, yeah.
Right? Isn't it using OpCat? Yeah.
You use OpCat to validate the proof of work on the transaction. It's very cool.
All right. Bitcoin Core version 27.1. Miniscript. Don't assume we're parsing a sane tap miniscript. RPC, enforce minimum value, set mock time, reward sig hash from string error message, move uni value in block to JSON, UX, GUI, fix create unsigned transaction fee bump, don't permit port in proxy IP option, test, fix failing uni value float test, P2P detect, add node, CoinJoin DNS peer, get added node info, and then build a bunch of fixes. They added some LLVM instructions for the docs, and they changed Luke Dash Jr.'s the sheer seed to a different address.
I don't actually know what CJDNS stands for, but I'm pretty sure it's not.
I'm assuming CoinJoin. It can't be
I don't
CoinJoin. There is no CoinJoin on Core. That's where the brain goes when you see CJ.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what it is, but I don't see it here. So yeah, but not CoinJoin.
I think it's some, I don't remember all the technical details, but it's like a DHT, like distributed hash table for like DNS names. So instead of having to use normal DNS for like host names, there's like a peer-to-peer like DHT for like host names, and you like sign, Schmitty dot whatever with your pub key, and then it goes into a distributed hash table that's like propagated P2P, and it's an alternative for discovery. I don't remember all the details, but it's something like that.
Cool.
I'll just use this 27.1 maintenance release as a opportunity to encourage folks to, even if you're not running 27.1, 26.2 is in release candidate state right now, and that'll be out soon. If you're worried about running the bleeding edge, you can run version of 26. But there's like sort of this, I don't know, there's a quasi resurgence of Murcia's like running 0.3, version of Bitcoin going on Twitter. And I would just remind people that as Rodolfo just went through, fix. There's fixes in this stuff to improve the software. And so I would encourage folks to at least update to the second to newest releases.
Yeah, but keep on running old clients too, because it's a lot of fun. Have multiple clients.
Yeah, for fun. Yeah.
All right. BDK version 1.0-alpha upgrade to Rust Bitcoin 0.32 and Rust Miniscript 0.12. Constructing a wallet now requires two descriptors, external and internal. Remove DB field from wallet. Staged changes can be persisted via blocking or async data store. Awesome, BDK. By the way, there may be a new FOSS Bitcoin phone wallet, BDK based, coming out soon from bitcoinpeople.org, bitcoinppl.org. There is work being done. Very cool.
Wow, that's quite a homepage they have. It's the to the moon emoji or ASCII art.
It looks like CJDNS is not just DNS names. It looks like it also does routing over IPv6, which is pretty cool.
And what does the C and the J stand for?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Johnny can put it in the show notes.
Well, I think the guy who came up with it, his name is CJ.
Oh.
I think that's like literally what it is. It's like CJ's DNS. Right.
Oh, it is. Caleb James. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very good. That's great. What a way to leave an impression. All right. It's blinking here, eh? If I drop again, do me a favor and continue until I get it back.
Sure.
So Rust Payjoin version 0.19.0. Prepare Payjoin PSBT, no output key path. Restore sender UTXO before Payjoin signing. Deserialize URL with URL cert feature instead of a custom deserializer. Umbrel version 1.2.0. Bisq version 1.9.16. WasabiWallet version 2.0.8.1. Sotera So these guys are plowing through, and there is coordinators out there.
What's the volume? Is there an indication of volume before versus volume after?
I don't know. Let's see. Well,
because my understanding is there's quite a bounty on becoming the coordinator. It sounds like the coordination was yielding 10 plus Bitcoin a month in fees. So that I can imagine people wanting to capture some of that.
Oh, absolutely. The incentives are there. Privacy with Bitcoin pays. All right. Joinster, pre-alpha release version 0.1.0. Joinster is a protocol for coin join using Nostr. There you go.
I'd like to see more of this. This is, I have Damas and I post and do the social stuff on Nostr, but for coordination, it seems like a great thing to be using, and especially coin joins and other types of things.
I don't want to see coin join on Nostr until we have proper double ratchet DMs. There is a proposal now for that. It's great. There is a NIP for it. I've been screaming about this for a little while.
What's the double ratchet?
I think they're using something similar to what Signal uses. And then, once you have your ephemeral key schema, then it's great, right? Because you have forward privacy and nobody de-anonymizes all your joining through that path. But it shouldn't prevent people from developing it and working on it, right? It's just, I think for the end user that may not know that if they lose their Nostr private key, that could be a problem. All right. Seed Hammer version 1.3.1, removing SH01 support. That's the little one. They're moving to the bigger plate size only. Optimal protective plates. Remove the prompt to install and protective plate during machine setup. Switch from compact seed QR to seed QR. Devices such as COLDCARD Q don't support QR codes containing binary data. This release switches slightly less efficient seed QR format. So, been talking to them, it's very important that people don't do bare QRs, bare binary QRs. Bare binary QR is a bad thing. It's the same reason why, for example, you have installation on wires, so that you don't. Can you have a wire without installation? Yes, you can. Should you have a wire without installation around? No. Very similar analogy to this. Hardware scanners, especially like this QR scanner modules, QR scanner ASICs, anything that is sort of like hard set with the hardware, with the QR decoding data, the raw data coming in from the lens, is unlikely to fare well with binary only because he expects a header to sort of point in which direction it should go and try to do its work, right? So they understood that and they deprecated the compact seed QR slowly, and they're moving to seed QR only, which is very reasonable standard. And they're supporting barbecue QR soon for output descriptors as well. So there is some work being done on that. No set standards yet. Label-based version 2.2.2. Add QR scanner ability to scan addresses from your favorite hardware wallets, QR codes from your mobile device, or even from a SATS card to label them directly on your instance.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I like label-based. It's cool. And you can run locally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have an open version now, and I think you could also they provide a hosted version.
Yep.
It's kind of amazing. Rodolfo, you've been in this space a long time. Like to see that there's like a startup and a project completely focused on managing the labels related to your wallet is like, it's just the ecosystem's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, it's still small, but it's just great to see that you can build a business and a project based on something so niche.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of a sign of maturity, right? It's like by the time you need this level of bookkeeping, it's because people are like using Bitcoin in serious ways where like they have to keep track of this information, which is great.
Yeah. Like as an industry grows, right, and the pie grows, and you have more users that need different things, you're able to support more niche things too. And these niches eventually become actually sizable businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's important that like, companies don't go out there and try to do everything on an industry that's a little bit more mature, because you get killed by 1,000 paper cuts, right? It's like, try to focus on some smaller things and like do them so well that nobody else will ever touch that little thing. If you're thinking in terms of business mode. And it's super cool. And it's also open source label based. Blockstream Green version 4.0.30 allow deposits of expired UTXOs in multi-sig accounts.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay.
Re-enable expired 2FA UTXOs. Don't know what that means either. QT setting to remember devices, improve asset registry. Something happened because they showed up for download and then disappeared, got removed, and then maybe there was a bug or something, and sort of reissued on the App Store. Green guys, please support PSBT. Let's get on with everybody. PSBT. All right, the Peach version 0.5.0. Group hug for everyone. Fund from Peach Wallet. Checkbox remain checked. And a few other things. ESP Miner version 2.1.8. Bunch of fixes. By the way, I read somewhere that... no, this is ESP Miner. It's not the same as the other one. What's the other one? That the guys, the other open source miner thing that people play with?
Oh, BitX?
BitX. Apparently there's like a petahash.
Wow.
Or something like that.
I've got a BitX on the table behind me, and the display, I don't know if the display burned out or if the pins out to the display burned out. I haven't had a chance to like hook it up to a scope and debug it, but it's a fun little device. It's like it's a lottery ticket, but it's cool.
I think it's so cool. It doesn't use a Raspberry Pi, and like it's actually RTOS. Like these guys are doing like there is stuff in there. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Project Spotlight, Rollups, Bitcoin native rollups design that operates with native Bitcoin peg, enforceable on-chain and redeemable anytime unilaterally. It's Burak.
I haven't had a chance to look into this yet. What, Rijndael, do you?
Bro, come on.
Roll up.
Bro, do you even roll up?
Bro.
Roll up.
All right, Stratum.work, WebSocket-based web app that streams real-time mining pool Stratum messages to a table for analysis. That's cool.
Yeah, you can see all the rows that have identical Merkle branches.
Cool.
No, not cool. Not cool.
Yeah.
It's great. Super cool.
It's the black pill in real time over WebSockets. It's great.
Yeah. All the parts are beautiful, man. Satonomics, fully FOSS. Don't put fully FOSS, just say FOSS. A self-hostable on-chain data generator. Okay. Vote, a modern descriptor-based financial freedom Bitcoin wallet aimed at restoring sovereignty to global Bitcoiners. Oh, isn't Vote I forgot the name of that kid. Abubakar, yes. That's his, it's beta still, but very cool. Looks pretty.
Yeah, and lots of cool Bitcoin tech in there that they support, PSBTs, etc.
Nice. Mempool Research, newly established home of the Bitcoin analysis led by Mempool.space researcher Mononautical and Orange Surf BTC. I wonder if they do that at Tokyo Cool Spot where the ladies are wearing bikinis. If you know, you know.
I don't know.
Oh, you have, dude, like go to Tokyo and tell the Mempool.space guys to take you out. It's a rite of passage. It's just silly. It's not what you're thinking. It's like, it's Japan, man. Like things are either like deep in one way or funny in another way. This one is funny in another way. No tentacles were harmed. All right. Moosing, simple script to test the implementation of Moosig2 support in the BIP 388 compliant wallet policies that are supported in the Ledger Bitcoin app experimental. And Moosig here is with two O's, like a moose.
Like a cow.
Yes.
Oh, like a moose. Okay.
Slip 39, wallet seed generation, and backup with 20 words. This actually got me a little... many emotions went through through me, like looking at this spec.
Big feelings.
Big feelings. Curiosity, of course, keeping me in check because it could be cool. But, oh, man, come on. Can we stop doing shit that needs to compromise so that shitcoins can exist? I don't want to shield CDXOR, but
I'm
gonna keep on doing that until the specs improve.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a BIP39 seed compatible share system. So using Shamir's secret sharing or some other kinds of threshold where the parts are BIP39 valid seeds. That's the true sort of charm there. That's why CDXOR is so nice, because they didn't get plausible deniability out of the parts as well. And you can use the plates that already exist out there for you to punch those in. So I'd love to see that. How do you guys feel about this?
I haven't looked at Slip 39 in years at this point, so I haven't looked at this part.
Same.
All right. Moving on. Privacy and other related Bitcoin projects. SimpleX version 5.8.1 updated. Tails version 6.4 random seed. Tails now stores a random seed on the USB stick to strengthen all cryptography.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'd rather it wasn't stored somewhere, but okay.
Yeah, right?
Right.
I feel the same way. Tor Browser version 13.5 updated. Project Spotlight Open Coordinator Wasabi Bitcoin CoinJoin Coordinator. The project is alternative to CoinJoin Coordinator for WasabiWallet 2.x. Okay, that's cool. LibreChat FOSS AI chat platform compatible across both remote and local AI services. Lightning Plus L2 Plus, the rainbow part of the show. Core Lightning version 24.05 updated. You guys hit me here if there's anything you want to review, because I'm going to plow through it. LDK version 0.3.0. Both 12. Phoenix updated. Mutiny Node updated. RGB version 0.11.0-beta.
The RGB one is confusing. It says the APIs are now stable and feature free has been reached, but RGB 0.10, the big selling point was that was like the stable API and that things wouldn't change. So I wonder.
It's been around.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go and look at what changed between 10 and 11.
Is there anybody using RGB for anything?
Yeah, there's a company called Diba that they're trying to do an NFT exchange on top of RGB. They have a wallet that they're putting out called Bitmask, and they claim to have a lot of users, but I haven't seen anybody in the wild.
Cool. It kind of feels like one of those technologies just got superseded by other things.
I think so. It's really, really, really complicated. And so I think it's just too hard for other people to build on top of it. Some of the newer kind of meta protocols, have flaws and warts, but they're very simple. So it's very easy for people to build marketplaces and wallets and tooling on top of it. And I think there's basically one or two companies building on top of RGB. It's just very difficult to build on.
Great. All right. Lightning Terminal version 0.13.0. Ride the Lightning version 0.15.1. Minibits Wallet version 0.1.8-beta. Clams Remote version 2.2.0. Beat Banana version 0.8.2. Project Spotlight Storm.pub, a Lightning-enabled version of YouTube. Okay. Social shit that's not on Nostr, I kind of lose my interest immediately.
eCash by sound is kind of funny.
Yes, that's cool.
Yeah, you can send a cashew token over sound, which is pretty funny.
So it's so funny because I saw a tweet by Kali.
Yeah.
And he had FLDG open. And if you're an amateur radio person, you know what FLDG is. The best software ever invented. The best website to serve the best software ever. If you need modulation of pretty much any type of modulation to any type of modulation, and you need in any kind of frequency, FLDG is it. And the best part is you don't have to, you can actually modulate into sound to then put into a sound card into your radio. So you don't have to have a modern radio to drive the carrier. So this is so I saw him with the FLDG open, and I felt like, hey, like, are you hamming right now? And no, they were just modulating for sound, so that you're doing over audio. They were using PSK31. PSK31 is very, very common mode. Phase shift keying. And anyways, I use PSK31 all the time. Sounds crazy.
What do you use it for?
Hey, I'm here.
Modulating. Yeah,
Modulator. 99.99% of ham radio stuff that is not old dudes like talking about like their hernias is essentially like young dudes with computers saying, "Hi, I'm here. Can you see my signal?"
Yeah.
Yes, I can see your signal 5.7 or whatever. And then that's it. And then you move on to the next one. You can do a little bit of keyboard talking as well. Say like JS8 call. Very cool protocol. But with FLDG, that's how you do a lot of the experimenting if you don't want to be like stuck with a specific way of doing things. It's a lot of fun. I've sent Bitcoin countless times, brain wallets over many of those modes on FLDG, and some Lightning voices and cashew tokens and fun times. Highly recommended. Get your ham license, man. It's the most boring fun thing you ever do. All right, Nutmix. Golang implementation of eCash Mint. .nut. Love this.
That's pretty good.
A C# library implementing the Cashew BTC Pro. These guys really have that memeing going well. Cashew is really great. I am a fan. I am a nut stacker. There is a Hatu joke there somewhere.
I have one to add to the list before we jump into Nostr.
Please do.
There's a tool that the team from Ledger put out called Cargo Check CT, which is a tool for evaluating whether a Rust binary focused on cryptographic libraries runs in constant time or not.
Oh, that's a good one.
I thought that was a pretty cool tool. And it uses a Bisq, if you're familiar with that tool behind the scenes, to analyze the binary to get the raw data that they need to then analyze for constant timeness. So that's good for side channel or timing attacks.
Always amazes me the backstory on how you get to need and build a tool.
I got another one.
Yes.
Have you heard of Arc Labs? Maybe you guys already talked about.
Yep.
Oh, you guys already talked about them. Okay.
Well, what's the?
Yeah, no, talk about it.
Yeah, throw it up.
They released an implementation of the Arc protocol. So there's a actual Arc implementation now that you can take a look at on GitHub, and then there's a series of developer resources. And again, there's more than one team, I think, working on Arc implementation. So this is just one of them from Arc Labs.
I think that there's, Clark, which uses a bunch of pre-signed transactions. And I think that there's another Arc implementation that runs on Liquid. I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah, there is one for Liquid.
Yeah.
I heard about that. I can't remember if that was out or not, but it was definitely talks about that. All right, Nostr. I'm gonna blaze through this. By the way, we're gonna be doing a Nostr panel, a state of affairs, with interesting guests on probably the next episode or the one after. It should be fun.
So what is that? How are things going in Nostr from a strategic high level?
Well, from strategic high level point of view, we had a spike in user adoption, right? I mean, it dropped a bit after the spike, of course, but it's pretty high. The tools are a lot more mature now. They weren't then. And the experience, especially if you're using something like Primo, is it's easier than Twitter. Like it legitimately is a better and easier experience than Twitter. If you try to create a Twitter account nowadays, it's not what you think it was back then. Like phone numbers, bullshit. It's difficult. With Nostr, you click a button, boom, you have an account on Primo, right? And the experience looks exactly like Twitter. So that part of the social media stuff is great. There's been a lot of work on the Wallet Connect stuff, so you can zap and do things. There's more commerce happening. There is HSM software being written for you to sign keys on a different device. And there's a lot of stuff happening, and there's going to be a lot more drives now to bring content over to Nostr. So it's like Nostr only content, especially long form. Because remember, a comment on Nostr could also be like available to other clients to display in a different way. And there is a content graph that exists on Nostr that doesn't exist in other systems. It's very cool.
How do you guys think at OpenSats being one of the big funders of this work, like, do you guys have metrics you look at that say whether or not like Nostr is progressing in the way that you guys had anticipated, or like, how do you think about that? Or is it still too early to have that sort of stuff?
It's too early, but reality is, like, you look at the stuff, like, there is just more stuff. It's like more people talking about it, more people using it, and more libraries, more software being created. So that's like a reasonable sort of way of looking at it. But it's early tech. I mean, really early. I mean, Nostr is about, like, going to be 3 years now. Like, imagine, like, remember Bitcoin in 2011?
No, I don't.
It's like you can't, like, if you're drawing your metrics based on Bitcoin 2011 or 2012, like, it'd be a problem. So yeah, it's early, but yes, we're trying to fund these people trying to do things that are good, useful, and are needed. We have a nice committee of peers for that too. So that, like, it's not the board members, it really is a committee of Nostr peers that review all the work and the proposals. And it's pretty cool. It's going. And we have lots of bucks, lots of billions of dollars to do that, which is a lot of fun. All right. Rust Nostr updated, Primo updated, Damus updated, Amethyst updated, Coracle updated, Nos.social updated, 0x Chat updated, Voyage updated, Monster updated, Citrin updated, Project Spotlights, NoteDeck, a platform Nostr client by Damus. NoteDeck is a work in progress, works on Android desktop. KeyPub, a new Nostr client by Hodabod to help surface posts by infrequent posters. Yes, there is a lot of work and a lot of thought being given to, like, how to create algos to bring content up to people to see, because you need algos, right? You just don't want the algos to be closed and be making you hate society like Twitter is, right? So, like, people are spending a lot of brain cycles on how to highlight content, how to make content searchable, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know Jack had a discussion about that sort of thing, the algorithm sort of controlling you, when he did his talk in Oslo. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a test, it's very easy. Don't open Twitter for a week and see how you feel. Like, it's weird. Like, it truly is weird. Or, like, what I prefer to do is, I just, like, every time there is a new drama, a new political development, or anything that is like I should not know immediately, I start muting that topic and that keyword. I don't have a single war thing in my life on Twitter. I want to log in on Twitter and see, like, ham radio shit, funny memes. You know, humans are not designed to know what the fuck is happening ever around the world. Anyways, Relay Runner, a guide to set up Nostr Relay. Nostr Pay, mobile application client that enables users to connect to remote Lightning wallets using Nostr Wallet Connect protocol. This Nostr Wallet Connect protocol is really cool. By the way, Mike, you talk to core devs a lot. We need to nerd snipe cryptographers to come fuck with Nostr. It's very important. We need more galaxy brains on Nostr.
Well, we also need galaxy brains on Bitcoin as well.
Oh, no, but, here's the thing. All the galaxy brains need some side catnip. Okay?
That's true.
Dude, I mean, like, all the Bitcoin cryptographers were playing with Mimbo shit or ZK something, or, they all need a side hustle of brain think, right? Like, let that be Nostr. It is really a cool protocol. All right. Boosts. Thanks, everyone who streamed some sats and sent us some shout outs. These are from different episodes. From 69, we had Vake, Not Enough ETF, and price discussion on this show. Yeah, sorry to disappoint. Pete Pelia, fucking amazing episode. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm sure pretty much no one else heard it. What's it? Very interesting. I don't understand much, but slowly learning by osmosis. I don't think anybody understands. And the people who say they understand, they're probably lying or pretending. All right, about episode 68. Seed or only since Satoshi found digital gold, any real liberty can exist. Few. Yeah, dude. I mean, maybe you hurt your finger with the hammer. I don't know. Vake. Bitcoin is so boring. I've saved millions of sats not buying ambient by listening to this podcast. Okay. You clearly listen to the podcast, and I'm taking shares off of the big pharma. All right. If Miss Randir, thank you for the sats. Ben Coin, love you. I'm sure this one is not for me. It's probably for one of the guests. Z Doxed. Exciting to see COLDCARD RGB asset integration coming soon. Yeah, very soon. You should definitely wait for it. 100% happening. Question from the audience. When we have covenants, is the address type different depending on the sending conditions? If not, how does it normally verify that their wallet has generated an address with the spending conditions they expected and there are no hidden conditions? Stack to the feature is Johnny, by the way. Johnny, that is a great, fantastic, reasonable question.
Johnny, you could just ask the question.
No, but he doesn't get recorded. He joins with the producer link. So first, yes, the address is the same to a SegWit address. What's the second part of the question? How does the user verify? Well, it's tricky. You're believing the software wallet generated an address for you that is what you expect it to be. But that is also true for multisig with SegWit.
Or any Taproot address.
Taproot address. It's the same for everything else. So like,
right.
If the wallet is doing something stupid that's going to make you lose money, that is true for any kind of Bitcoin script that's using SegWit.
Yeah, I mean, with like normal SegWit, you could have a wallet that tells you, hey, I'm making a 2 of 3 multisig, and then when you go to spend it, there's like 10 keys in there, right? Like you will see it when you spend it, but that doesn't mean that your money isn't backdoored. You kind of have to either trust the wallet or find a way to trust the wallet by like, going and reading the source code and reproducibly building it, or trusting that somebody else has done it or something. Like at the end of the day, if you have your spending conditions behind a hash commitment, you have to either like trust that it's correct or you have to go and verify it yourself.
So I had an idea, and Rob likes it too, which is we need to have a mini script repository.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where I think like a nice sort of like miniscript.org or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there will be like, like a list of like mini scripts that have been like people maybe hash commit like with like GitHub or something saying like, I've reviewed this. I think this is safe.
Mm-hmm.
And what's cool about that is then you can have like a hash of the script, right? That it's displayed to the user. Like there's some ways of finding some provability there, even to avoid mistakes by wallet makers. So we can find a path of safety. Maybe, who knows, maybe COLDCARD can double check. Like we only sign this few scripts. We don't sign anything else unless you check this box saying I don't give a shit, right?
Well, and like what you should be able to do, right? Like let's say that that you had a Taproot address, that what it should be is there's, 3 script paths. One of them is like a multisig thing, one of them is like a time lock thing, and then one of them is like a crazy cat thing, like whatever. You should be able to take a different piece of software, reconstruct those spend paths, and then reconstruct the Taproot address from it. And if it matches, then you know that it contains only what you think, right? So if you had like, what you're describing, which is like a trusted or a vetted set of templates, and you say like, oh yeah, I want to use like these ingredients in my address, you should be able to have like some trusted hardware, some trusted software, take those templates, plug in, your public keys or your time lock values or whatever the thing is, and then generate the same address. Then you say like, yep, it's kind of like with a COLDCARD, you can, like roll dice and it hashes them and it shows you the hash. And you could like also do that on your laptop to convince yourself that the COLDCARD is doing the hashing right, like in principle, you should be able to do the same thing for any taproot address. Whether or not people go and actually like write the software and do it is a separate question.
And you had a second question here. Why are taproot and SegWit addresses different? That's just convention. It makes it easy for people to develop wallets and check before they say, for example, pay to taproot.
Well, and then I think the big thing with taproot also is like with SegWit, kind of once you spend from a SegWit address, you see all the spend conditions because it like puts the whole script in the input side of the transaction. With Taproot, one of the killer features for Taproot is that you could have millions of different spend paths and you only reveal the one that you actually use. So if I have like a multi-sig, like a traditional style like multi-sig in a taproot and I go and spend it, that doesn't mean that there aren't other conditions buried in that tap tree.
By the way, people, please, we're going to take more audience questions going forward. We want more audience questions. Like, it's great. Like we have like often people here who can answer questions and most people have the same questions too. Very common. So do send them. We would love to read them and see if we can answer. Optech, as usual, I skip it and I say to people to go to Optech and listen to the Optech podcast, and we included in our show notes. But today I have Mr. Optech with us. Any items there that you would like to bring up?
We talked about the LND vulnerability with the Onion Bomb. There's a draft BIP for quantum safe address format, which I think is interesting, but it's more of like a starting point for a discussion for how quantum resistance could be done, as opposed to here's a solution and let's push for implementation. So I appreciate that Hunter B started that discussion. I think that's probably got a very, very long way to go, but it's good that some people are talking about it. We talked about earlier the disclosure of vulnerabilities with Bitcoin Core and the proposed disclosure policy. Testnet 4, I don't know, is that interesting? What do we think about Testnet 4?
I'm excited about it because I mined a bunch of Testnet 4 blocks, so I've got a big bag of Testnet 4 Bitcoin. So I think it's very interesting.
Same for me. I just want to sell some Testnet.
Well, and then that's the resistance too. I think there's some large Testnet 3 folks who have hitched their wagon to that star and don't want to let go of it. But I guess we can't stop them. But it looks like Testnet 4 is coming.
Hey, coins look like coins, man. We're coin people.
It's all the same. Don't discriminate.
Full discrimination.
I will not be able to jump into this particular item, but Jeremy Rubin posted to Delving Bitcoin about functional encryption covenants. I think if people are curious about covenants and put some reputation behind Jeremy coming up with this idea, that's probably worth taking a look at. 64-bit arithmetic. We've covered that a few times on Optech, so that's not super interesting. And then we talked about the opcat script to validate proof of work for purposes of a Signet faucet. And it's a good list of highlights.
We briefly touched on opmol on the last episode with Polstra as well. We talked a bit about the Great Script Restoration and some other stuff.
I haven't listened to it. What was his take on opmol and the broader script restoration idea?
I mean, you ask a mathematician if they like multiplication. I mean, that's your answer.
That's funny.
It would be really nice to be able to multiply numbers together when you're doing like money things.
Yeah. It's an important primitive.
Yeah.
With exponential consequences. All right. So news and noteworthy. Literature Grokking Bitcoin is now open source. Protocol Bitcoin Core begins storing transactions versions as unsigned integers. Lightning, Multicoin app Cake Wallet to integrate Lightning payments using Breez SDK. Business and Finance, Blink Wallet launches Vouchers Alpha. Robinhood to acquire a major European cryptocurrency. Oh yeah, they bought Bitstamp. I thought it'd be worth a lot more than $200 million, to be honest. But I guess like it's winner takes all, right? The volume.
And if you look at the Bitcoin, I think there was Bitcoin transactions involved with the initial Bitstamp, something 50,000 Bitcoins or some crazy number. And
there you go.
It's very hard to outperform Bitcoin.
Yep. Open Cash Association support the open source development of digital cash. OpenSats announces long-term support for Kali. Congrats, Kali and William.
Great.
They are doing great work. Brink Grant Committee welcomes longtime Bitcoin Core contributor Cory Fields.
Awesome.
Invincible Privacy Group, new fund aimed at supporting Bitcoin developer privacy. Jesus Christ, there is so much money now for development in Bitcoin in all its forms and adjacent things that is not funny.
Well, make hay while the sun is shining. It would be my recommendation to everybody. You know, Brink was formed 4 years ago, 2020, bit of a bull market into 21. And the community was incredibly generous to our cause. Now, needless to say, when Bitcoin was down, 80% in 22, 23, that community was not nearly as generous. So I would advocate to all these groups to keep that in mind, that the donation cycles, in my experience, track the Bitcoin price and act accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, like, the main thing is, like, nobody deserves any money because they want to do good to the world. But, it's very nice that a lot of people recognize that is an important thing to do. And people are funding it. And funding comes and goes, right? You can't fully depend on it. If you want true sovereignship, start a business. With all its glory and problems that come with that.
I mean, there's also a bunch of businesses that are hiring Bitcoin developers right now. So
yes.
if you want to work in Bitcoin full time, you can probably get a job, doing it for a for-profit company. Or if you want to work on grants, there's a bunch of organizations that have grant money. Yeah.
All right. What else? Mining. Hosting provider Wilson Mining announces opening of its own FPPS. Bitcoin Miner Foundry launched a new division named Foundry Hardware. BitD acquired chip designer Desi Wimmer for $140 million. Man, like, Bitcoin mining industry is like, they're like real stuff now. Like, they're buying chip makers, it's cool. Bitmain announced its latest Antminer S21 XP Hydro. I heard that you need a literal hurricane of air to go through it, or otherwise it burns. But it's fast. Marathon Digital Holdings launches 2 megawatt pilot project in Finland. It's powered by Elves. Privacy. Proton is transitioning towards nonprofit structure. Nigerian financial institutions to request customer social media handles out. That was a disaster. They can go fuck themselves. Government stuff. Chat control too. They can also go fuck themselves. Good luck enforcing that. And events adopting Bitcoin Cape Town conference dates have been announced, January 24 and 25th, 2025. Good stuff. Reads, Emerging Bitcoin Modular Ecosystem by Alex B. Cashew, a vision for a Bitcoin-powered eCash ecosystem by Shinobi. Misir Papascu, and Mpax by Beautyon. And anything else we missed? I lost track of time because of my power failure here, so my clock restarted. I don't know how long I've been recording for.
I think it was the first time we've actually gotten through a list in like a year. This is amazing.
It goes to show the quality of the guests, really.
That's right.
I mean, if Rob was here, it would have been a problem.
We'd still be talking about Miniscript.
Yes. NPC gang, right?
That's right.
So anyways, guys, listen, thank you so much for coming. This was a pleasure. Super happy with the show. I think we covered a lot. And I know everybody needs to go pee because it's been a long time. For the folks, do listen to the last episode about Opcat. It's worth it. If you want to dive more into those deeper episodes, there is a SegWit episode with Bolster that was very good. There is the Frost episode. There's a SecP episode. Those are all like nerd out, gonna put you to sleep within 20 minutes. My wife still does that when she really needs help sleeping. She will put up an episode and like be out within 15 minutes. And the next episode that we do panel, I think is gonna be an awesome Nostr panel with some special folks. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Any final thoughts, Rijndael?
Lots of stuff happening. As we said a minute ago, there's like a lot of money in grants and in like commercial work. So if you want to work in this stuff full time, you can probably find a way to do that. And then in addition to what NVK just said about those panel episodes, I'd say everybody working on this stuff, whether it's, Polstra or Jesse Posner or Nick Farrow or any of these people, are all like really excited to talk about what they're working on and are all very approachable. So if you listen to any of those episodes and your curiosity is piqued, like reach out to them and say hello.
Mike.
For this audience, probably most people already subscribe to the Optech newsletter, but I'd plug that.
It's 100% Venn diagram.
There might be. Well, it's funny because when I do the monthly segment where I highlight like software changes similar to what you guys do here, I feel like there's a bit of that Spider-Man meme where like there's Optech that I'm looking at your list. You're probably looking at Optech. Optech is looking at no BS Bitcoin, and
that's good. We should all see even review the same things. So I think is important, because you get more opinions.
So if you read the newsletter, maybe check out and you can't sleep even after listening to Rodolfo, you can listen to Merch and I.
Jesus Christ,
talk about each newsletter, each PR. And that'll cure that. And also for this technical audience, I'd plug Brink's YouTube channel that we've put up in the last little while, where we put some of these engineering conversations that I mentioned. We had Matt Morehouse on. We had Robin talking about BitVM. And so we'll get into some of the technical weeds. And so that would be a good place to point your listeners.
So you heard here, if you want technical weeds, just listen to the show. Listen to Optech and follow Rijndael.
Don't operate heavy machinery or drive a car while you're doing it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. For more resources, check the show notes. We put a lot of effort into them. And remember, we don't have a crystal ball, so let us know about your project. Visit bitcoin.review to find out how to get in touch.